The Galactic Imperium had ruled over countless worlds for centuries. Their fleets, mighty and unstoppable, had crushed rebellions and conquered planets with ease. The Empire was confident, arrogant even. Earth, a small, insignificant planet on the edge of the galaxy, was no exception. The Imperium had already taken note of it. They thought it would be just another easy conquest. The message from the Imperium arrived like a storm. It was an ultimatum, simple and clear: surrender or face complete destruction. The message was delivered in every language, transmitted across every communication network on Earth. The people of Earth were stunned at first, unable to believe the magnitude of what was happening. How could they, a tiny planet in the vast universe, be threatened by a galactic empire? Earth's leaders gathered in an emergency meeting, huddled in the United Nations headquarters, as they tried to make sense of the situation. World leaders from every corner of the Earth sat together, their faces filled with worry and fear. There were whispers of panic, and some even suggested surrendering. But one voice stood out above all the rest. General Rachel Anderson, a woman known for her calm demeanor and sharp strategic mind, stood before the world's leaders. She had risen to the top through sheer determination, and now, with the world's fate in her hands, she was ready to make a choice that would change everything. She looked out at the gathered leaders, her eyes steady. "We cannot give in to them," she said firmly. "We've built this world ourselves, fought for every inch of our survival. And now we're being asked to kneel before them. No, Earth will not be a slave to any empire." Her words were strong, filled with a fire that spread through the room. But even as her voice rang out, doubts lingered. Some of the world leaders questioned how Earth, with its limited technology and resources, could possibly hope to stand against a galactic empire. The Imperium had fleets of ships capable of destroying entire planets, weapons far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. What hope did Earth have? But General Anderson wasn't finished. "We may not have the power they do, but we have something they don't. We have humanity, our creativity, our ability to adapt, to survive against all odds. We have one chance to make them understand. Earth will never kneel." She paused, letting her words settle in the minds of the leaders, and for the first time since the ultimatum had arrived, something changed in the room. The leaders of Earth were beginning to believe. If they stood together, they could refuse to bow down. In the days that followed, the world came together in ways no one thought possible. Scientists, engineers, and military experts worked tirelessly in secret, pouring all their efforts into one goal: a weapon. They didn't have the advanced technology the Imperium possessed, but humanity had always been resourceful. They had their own strength, an unyielding will to fight for survival. Meanwhile, across the stars, the Imperium's ambassador prepared for the next step. His mission was simple. He would be the one to present Earth with the final ultimatum, the one that would force them to bow before the Empire. He was a creature of cold calculation, used to seeing entire civilizations crumble before his empire. And he was certain that Earth, with its primitive technology, would fall just like all the others. The ambassador arrived on Earth with an impressive fleet in orbit above the planet. His ship, sleek and enormous, hovered in the sky like a looming shadow. The world watched, holding its breath. This was the moment. Earth's fate rested in the hands of its leaders. The ambassador sent a final message to the leaders of Earth, once again demanding surrender. His voice echoed through every communication channel, cold and unfeeling. "We give you one final chance. Kneel before the Galactic Imperium, and you may yet keep your existence. Refuse, and your world will be destroyed." The message echoed across the globe, sending waves of fear through the population. People wondered if they had the strength to stand up to such power. But even as the weight of the threat pressed down on them, something else began to happen. A wave of unity swept across Earth, as people from every nation, from every walk of life, came together in defiance. They refused to be cowed, refused to give in. In a broadcast to the world, General Anderson appeared once again. Her face was calm, her voice steady, but there was a strength behind her words that inspired millions. We will not surrender. We will not kneel. Earth stands united, and we will fight. The message was clear. Earth had made its decision. The Imperium had underestimated humanity's resolve. And now, the Empire would learn that Earth was a force to be reckoned with. The Imperium, though shocked by Earth's defiance, was not one to back down easily. After centuries of dominance, they believed their power was unquestionable. Underestimating the determination of humanity, the Emperor ordered his fleet to begin their attack. The message was clear. Earth had refused, and now they would pay the price. The invasion began with an impressive show of force. Hundreds of warships, massive and heavily armed, entered Earth's orbit. Each ship was a weapon of unimaginable power, equipped with advanced weapons capable of reducing entire cities to rubble. The Imperium's fleet stretched across the sky like an ominous shadow, blocking out the sun and casting a chill over the entire planet. It was a display meant to intimidate, and for a moment, it worked. The people of Earth were afraid. They had never faced anything like this before. The sky was filled with ships that moved in perfect formation, as if they were one. The Imperium's first strike came in the form of energy blasts that slammed into Earth's outer atmosphere. The impact created waves of shock across the planet. Cities in distant parts of the world watched as the sky turned fiery red from the destruction above. But even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity did not falter. General Anderson and the leaders of Earth had prepared for this moment. In secret, they had worked tirelessly to build a defense that would stand against the invaders. The project, known only to a few, was humanity's last hope. A shield powerful enough to protect the planet from the Imperium's deadly firepower. The shield, known as Project Aegis, was humanity's answer to the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. As the first wave of blasts reached Earth's atmosphere, the shield activated. A blue, shimmering barrier spread across the sky, flickering for a moment before it solidified. The energy blasts from the Imperium struck the shield with all their might, but they had no effect. The shield absorbed the impact, protecting the planet from the full force of the invasion. The Imperium's fleet was stunned. Their weapons, capable of destroying entire worlds, had failed to breach Earth's defenses. The alien commanders, who had expected an easy victory, now found themselves facing something they had never encountered: human ingenuity. General Anderson stood before a team of scientists and military strategists, watching the battle unfold on holographic screens. Her face was tense but resolute. The Imperium would not be so easily defeated, but humanity had just gained its first victory. "Keep the shield up," Anderson ordered. "We need time to prepare our counterattack. We may not have their firepower, but we have our brains, and that will be enough." Across the world, people watched in awe as Earth's defenses held strong. News channels broadcast the unfolding battle, and messages of hope and unity spread across the globe. Even as the Imperium's ships launched waves of fire at Earth's shield, humanity held its ground. The shield was not just a symbol of resistance. It was proof that Earth was not as weak as the Imperium had thought. But the battle was far from over. The Imperium's commanders quickly realized that their initial attack had failed. The shield might be holding, but they had other weapons at their disposal, more dangerous and more powerful than anything Earth had faced. They had underestimated the human spirit, but they were not about to make the same mistake again. In the cold command center aboard the Imperium's flagship, the alien commander, a tall figure with smooth silver skin and piercing blue eyes, growled in frustration. He was used to crushing his enemies quickly, and Earth's resistance was beginning to irritate him. "Prepare the gravity cannons," he ordered. "It's time we show them what real power looks like." The gravity cannons were a weapon unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. They could manipulate the very fabric of space, creating massive waves of gravitational force strong enough to tear apart planets. It was the Imperium's ultimate weapon, and it was aimed directly at Earth. As the gravity cannons powered up, a deep hum filled the air. A brilliant light shot out from the flagship's weapons array, and the sky above Earth trembled. The ground shook as if the very planet was being ripped apart. But just as the cannon's energy beam was about to strike, Earth's scientists unveiled another secret: Project Ascendant, a weapon of their own design. The weapon, a modified energy projector, amplified the Earth shield's strength to unprecedented levels. A massive beam shot up into the sky, colliding with the gravity beam midair. The resulting explosion sent shockwaves across the planet. The ground trembled and the sky flashed with light. For a moment, it seemed as though Earth's defenses might not hold. But as the dust cleared, it became clear: Earth's shield had held again. The Imperium's weapon had failed. The Imperium's fleet was thrown into disarray. They had attacked with everything they had, but Earth had fought back with everything they could muster. The commanders were left speechless. This was not the Earth they had expected. It was not the easy victory they had planned. The battle had only just begun, but Earth had already proven one thing: they would not kneel. Despite their early victories, Earth knew the Imperium would not give up easily. The battle had only just begun. The Imperium had already shown they were capable of unimaginable destruction, and Earth's defenses, while strong, wouldn't be enough to hold them off forever. The threat of total destruction loomed over the planet. If Earth was to have any hope of winning, they needed to push the limits of their technology. In secret, deep underground and hidden military facilities, humanity's best minds were hard at work on Project Nemesis. This weapon, developed using the most advanced human ingenuity, was Earth's final hope, a weapon that could turn the tide of the war. It was a hybrid of human design and stolen Imperium technology, a fusion of their weapons and Earth's creativity. If successful, it could make the difference between survival and annihilation. General Anderson had insisted that the project remain secret, even from the public. The world was already on edge, and any hint of failure might shatter the fragile hope humanity had gained. Yet the pressure was mounting. The Imperium was relentless. Their warships hovered above Earth like a constant reminder of the overwhelming power that threatened to crush them. But Anderson refused to give in to fear. She trusted in humanity's resilience, and she trusted in the scientists working on the weapon. As the days passed, Earth's forces continued to fight back, each victory against the Imperium's fleet pushing humanity to fight harder. Every time the Imperium unleashed a devastating attack, Earth responded with new strategies, utilizing every bit of their technological advances and every scrap of knowledge they could gather. But even as their shields held strong, the Imperium's relentless bombardment wore down Earth's defenses. It was clear that without a decisive weapon, they wouldn't be able to win this war. Inside a heavily guarded underground facility, a group of the world's brightest minds stood in a high-tech laboratory. The air was thick with tension as they watched the final tests of Project Nemesis. The weapon, a massive energy cannon powered by the latest advancements in quantum energy, was ready. It was humanity's most advanced weapon, able to deliver an energy blast that could destroy entire fleets of enemy ships in one strike. But there was one issue. They had never tested it on such a large scale. The scientists weren't sure if it would even work. Dr. Samuel Carter, the lead scientist on the project, was the first to speak. "We're out of time," he said, his voice steady but filled with the weight of the situation. "We've worked day and night, but we can't be sure it will function under the kind of pressure the Imperium will put on us." General Anderson stood beside him, watching the team prepare. "We don't have the luxury of waiting," she said. "The Imperium is already moving to launch another attack. We need this weapon ready now." The countdown began, the hum of the power systems growing louder as the cannon powered up. The scientists moved quickly, their hands flying over control panels, monitoring every detail. The air was thick with anticipation, as everyone knew the outcome of this test would determine the fate of the planet. Above the surface, the Imperium's fleet continued its preparations for the next strike. Their commanders, confident that their gravity cannons would destroy Earth's shield once and for all, had already begun to fire on Earth's major cities. The Imperium had no intention of stopping until the planet was nothing but ashes. Back in the underground facility, the countdown hit 0. The massive cannon roared to life. A blinding beam of light shot up from the base, cutting through the Earth's atmosphere with the intensity of 1,000 suns. The blast reached the sky and collided with one of the Imperium's ships, causing it to shudder violently. For a moment, the world watched in stunned silence as the ship's shields flickered and failed. The massive vessel began to break apart, falling toward Earth in pieces. Dr. Carter let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. It works. It actually works. General Anderson's face lit up with a rare smile. This is just the beginning. The news spread quickly across the planet. Earth had a weapon, an answer to the Imperium's might. The entire world watched as the first wave of ships fell, signaling a shift in the balance of power. Humanity had taken the fight to the invaders, and now they had a fighting chance. But Anderson knew this victory was just one battle in a much larger war. The Imperium would not back down so easily. They would come at Earth with everything they had, more determined than ever to crush this unexpected resistance. "Prepare for the next phase," Anderson ordered. "We fight until the end, and we will win." The world's eyes turned to the skies once more, watching as Earth's forces, now emboldened by their new weapon, prepared for the final confrontation. Humanity had refused to kneel, and now they had the power to show the galaxy what they were capable of. The tide of the war had turned, but the battle was far from over. The Imperium had underestimated humanity, and now Earth's forces were ready to show them the full strength of their will. With the successful activation of Project Nemesis, Earth's defenders had gained a new edge. The powerful energy cannon had proven its worth by destroying an Imperium warship, but this was only the beginning. Earth's military leaders knew they had to strike fast and hard before the Imperium could regroup. General Anderson stood at the heart of Earth's command center, the holographic displays before her showing the movement of the Imperium's fleet. It had become clear that the Imperium had already begun to reconsider their tactics, their massive warships now moving in tight formations, wary of Earth's new weapon. "They think they can hide behind our shields," Anderson said, her voice calm yet filled with determination. "Let's show them what it means to fight on our terms." Her team of military strategists nodded, immediately getting to work. Earth's forces had learned a great deal from the Imperium's tactics, and now they could use that knowledge to their advantage. With the new weapon in hand, Earth wasn't going to wait for the Imperium to come to them. It was time to take the fight to the stars. Earth's fleet, though smaller in number, was now far more powerful than it had been just days ago. Armed with advanced energy weapons and reinforced with salvaged Imperium technology, the fleet was ready for its first real counterattack. The strategy was simple: hit hard and fast, strike where the Imperium least expected it. The command center buzzed with activity as Earth's ships launched from their hidden space docks, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. The ships, a mixture of sleek new designs and repurposed civilian vessels, quickly joined the growing fleet in orbit. The combined strength of humanity was something the Imperium had never seen before. Meanwhile, above Earth, the Imperium's fleet had started to form up for their next assault. The alien commanders had expected to break the planet's defenses with ease, but their confidence was beginning to crack. The loss of one of their flagship warships to Earth's new weapon had sent shockwaves through their ranks. They couldn't afford another defeat. The Imperium's flagship hovered in orbit, its immense size casting a shadow over the planet below. The commander aboard the ship, a tall alien with cold, calculating eyes, had already issued orders for the next attack. He would not let Earth's resistance go unanswered. But as the Imperium prepared for their assault, Earth's fleet arrived without warning. The first strike was swift. A barrage of energy blasts shot out from Earth's fleet, striking one of the Imperium's destroyers with unrelenting force. The ship was torn apart in seconds, its metal structure disintegrating under the sheer power of Earth's new weapons. The Imperium had no time to react as another ship in their fleet was hit, then another and another. The speed and precision of Earth's attack was unlike anything the Imperium had ever seen. "Report." General Anderson's voice rang out as the battle unfolded on the screens before her. "All enemy ships in range are being targeted, General," one of her officers responded. "They're scrambling to return fire, but their shields are failing. We've caught them off guard." The Imperium's flagship, the heart of their invasion force, was now fully engaged. The alien commander watched as his fleet was slowly but surely overwhelmed by Earth's unexpected strength. He couldn't believe his eyes. How could this primitive planet have such power? He had thought them weak, unworthy of attention, but now he realized the truth. Humanity was far more dangerous than he could have imagined. Earth's forces pressed on, relentless in their attack. They didn't just fight for survival. They fought for the future of their world, for the future of every civilization the Imperium had ever crushed. The Imperium had threatened their home, and now Earth would make them pay. One by one, the Imperium's ships fell. The energy weapons Earth had developed in secret tore through their hulls with precision, rendering the once mighty fleet helpless. The battle had shifted. The Imperium's commanders could only watch as their forces were scattered and destroyed. But the flagship was still there, a symbol of the Imperium's power. The alien commander wasn't about to let it fall. His hands flew over the control panel, activating the last-ditch weapon he had kept hidden in the ship's depths. It was a weapon unlike anything Earth had ever seen. A massive cannon capable of releasing a shockwave that could wipe out entire fleets in a single blast. As the cannon powered up, the alien commander's eyes narrowed. He would not lose this battle, not to a planet like Earth. But just as the cannon charged, Earth's new weapon, Project Nemesis, locked onto the flagship. The energy blast from the cannon fired, cutting through the space between the two ships at lightning speed. The Imperium's flagship tried to raise its shields, but it was too late. The beam from Project Nemesis struck with devastating force, breaking through the flagship's defenses and tearing it apart in a burst of energy. The commander aboard the flagship had no chance. The ship exploded in a blinding flash, disintegrating into debris as the remaining Imperium ships faltered. With their flagship destroyed, the Imperium's fleet was thrown into chaos. The invaders had lost their heart, their commanding force. Earth had struck a blow that would echo across the galaxy. General Anderson watched as the last of the Imperium's forces retreated, their ships scattering in every direction. Earth had won a major victory, but the war was far from over. "We're not done yet," Anderson said, her voice steady as always. "Prepare for the next phase. We finish this, once and for all." The battle was won, but the fight for humanity's future was just beginning. The battle had been fierce, but Earth's forces had emerged victorious. The Imperium's flagship was destroyed, and their fleet had scattered into retreat. For the first time in the war, Earth's defenders felt hope. The Imperium had underestimated them, and now the invaders were on the run. But even as the last of their ships fled, General Anderson knew the fight was far from over. The Imperium was not a force to be taken lightly. They would regroup, rearm, and return with vengeance. Earth's victory was a single step in a much longer war. Anderson understood that the Imperium had lost their biggest asset, their flagship, but they still had an entire empire at their disposal. "Prepare for the next attack," Anderson ordered as she stood in the command center. "We can't let our guard down. We finish this now." The Earth fleet had been through a lot. The intense battles, the constant barrage of enemy fire, and the pressure of defending their planet had taken its toll. But the soldiers and crew members aboard Earth's ships were determined. They had survived the first wave of the Imperium's assault, and now they had the opportunity to press forward and drive the invaders out for good. Across the world, news of the victory spread like wildfire. People from every corner of Earth celebrated the success of their military, and for the first time in the conflict, humanity had a renewed sense of pride. The Imperium, once thought unbeatable, had been forced to retreat. But the celebration was short-lived. The Imperium was regrouping in the far reaches of space, and they weren't about to surrender. Earth's forces, though stronger now, had to prepare for the final stage of the war. The Imperium still had the ability to destroy entire worlds with their advanced weapons. Even with Project Nemesis, Earth couldn't afford to be complacent. Back in the heart of the Imperium, the Alien Council gathered in their war chamber. They had suffered a great defeat, but they were far from finished. The loss of the flagship had shaken their confidence, but they knew they could still crush Earth if they played their cards right. The council leader, a tall, imposing figure, looked out over the gathered commanders. "Earth has shown its strength," he said coldly, "but they are weak. Their defense is fragile. We will return and finish what we started. Our final strike will break them." He was right. The Imperium had advanced weapons in their arsenal, and they would use them. The council leader issued orders for the final assault to begin. This time, they would not hold back. They would bring all their power to bear on Earth and crush its resistance once and for all. Back on Earth, Anderson and her military leaders were already preparing for the inevitable. The Imperium was not going to retreat forever. They had been pushed back, but they would return with greater force. Earth's defenders couldn't afford to wait for the next strike. They had to be ready. "Start mobilizing our fleet," Anderson instructed. "We need to be out there waiting for them. No more surprises." As Earth's military forces gathered, they reviewed their battle strategies. The success of Project Nemesis had given them a fighting chance, but Anderson knew they couldn't rely on it alone. They had to use every advantage they had. The shield technology, the new energy weapons, and even the combined experience of all the soldiers on the front lines. They would all play a role in the final push. Days passed, and Earth's fleet continued to prepare. The tension in the air was palpable. Everyone knew what was coming. The Imperium had lost too much face to simply retreat. They would return, and Earth's military had to be ready. Then, as the first wave of ships arrived in orbit, the unmistakable sight of the Imperium's massive fleet appeared in the distance. The ships were larger than anything Earth had faced so far, their sleek, dark hulls glinting ominously against the blackness of space. General Anderson stood at the front of the command center, watching as the Imperium's fleet grew larger on the screens before her. They were not just coming for Earth, they were coming for revenge. "They think they can break us," she muttered, "but they have no idea what they're about to face." Her voice was steady, but her heart raced. The stakes were higher than ever. This would be the final battle. There would be no more chances. Earth either stood or fell in this moment. The fleets from both sides slowly positioned themselves for battle. Earth's ships moved into formation, ready for the fight of their lives. The soldiers aboard Earth's vessels were calm and focused, each one knowing what was at stake. They fought for their families, for their future, and for the survival of their world. As the first shots were fired, the sky erupted with energy. The crackle of lasers and the thunder of energy blasts filled the silence of space. Ships from both sides engaged in brutal combat, the stakes higher than ever. Explosions ripped through the blackness, lighting up the sky as Earth's forces met the full force of the Imperium's attack. But Earth was not backing down. They fought with the power of generations, their hearts filled with the strength of humanity's will to survive. Project Nemesis fired once more, its massive energy beams cutting through the Imperium's warships with deadly precision. The battle raged on, but Earth's forces had already made their mark. The Imperium's fleet was stronger, but humanity was fighting with everything they had. It was clear that this was the final push. One way or another, the war would end here. The battle had reached its peak. The roar of energy blasts filled the vacuum of space as Earth's fleet and the Imperium's forces clashed in a spectacle of destruction. Each side was fighting with everything they had, knowing that this was the final confrontation. Victory meant survival. Defeat meant extinction. General Anderson stood at the heart of Earth's command center, her eyes locked onto the screens. The battle was fierce, but her forces were holding their ground. The Imperium, though still formidable, was beginning to lose its edge. Earth's advanced weapons, including Project Nemesis, were proving to be a game-changer. The alien invaders had not expected such a strong resistance from a planet they had once considered insignificant. "We've pushed them back, but they're not done yet," Anderson said, her voice steady, though the weight of the situation hung heavily on her. "We can't let them regroup. Prepare for the final strike." As Earth's fleet engaged the enemy, it was clear that this battle was like no other. The Imperium's warships were massive and powerful, but they lacked the coordination and drive that Earth's forces had. Humanity was united in this fight, with every soldier, every pilot, and every civilian rallying to the cause. The Imperium's invaders, on the other hand, were spread thin, their forces stretched to the breaking point. Inside the heart of the battle, Captain Sarah Quinn of Earth's flagship moved her ship with precision, her hands flying over the controls. Her ship was a symbol of humanity's resilience, and she was determined to make sure it stayed that way. "We're holding our ground," Quinn said into her comms, "but we need more firepower. Project Nemesis is still the key." On Earth's surface, the world watched as the battle unfolded above them. The skies were alive with the flash of lasers, the trails of missiles, and the bursts of energy from both sides. The streets, once filled with fear, were now filled with hope. People knew that this fight would determine everything. But as the battle continued, Earth's forces began to feel the strain. The Imperium had regrouped and launched a second wave, one that was bigger and more dangerous. Their ships were fortified with new shields and weapons, and they were relentless in their assault. It was clear that Earth's forces were being pushed back. "We can't keep up like this," one of the commanders in the control room said. "The Imperium is gaining ground." General Anderson didn't flinch. "We have one last chance," she said. "All units, fall back to the central line. We're going to draw them in. Project Nemesis will finish this." Across the battlefield, Earth's ships began to retreat, slowly and strategically pulling back toward Earth's atmosphere. The Imperium, sensing victory, followed in pursuit, their ships closing in. They thought they had Earth on the ropes, but they were playing into humanity's hands. As the Imperium advanced, General Anderson gave the signal. Now. At once, Earth's forces turned, and Project Nemesis fired once again. The massive cannon, powered by humanity's greatest scientific minds, unleashed its full force. The beam of energy shot through the void of space, striking the Imperium's flagship with unimaginable force. The ship's shields flickered and collapsed, and the blast tore through its hull, sending the mighty vessel spiraling out of control. The shockwave from the explosion rippled across the battlefield, sending smaller ships tumbling through space. The Imperium's fleet staggered as they tried to regain control, but it was too late. The Imperium's command ship was gone. The heart of their operation had been destroyed in a single decisive blow. "We did it," Captain Quinn said, staring in awe at the destruction before her. "We've taken down their flagship." General Anderson's voice came through the comms. "This isn't over yet. They still have strength, but without their leader, they're lost. Press the attack." With the loss of their flagship, the Imperium's fleet faltered. The commanders, now in disarray, were unable to organize their forces. Earth's ships pressed the advantage, firing with precision, taking down ship after ship. The Imperium, once a seemingly invincible empire, was falling apart. Their empire was crumbling before them. On Earth, the world held its breath. Every person watching knew that the war was nearly over. Humanity had fought against an impossible enemy, and now they were on the verge of victory. But even as the battle raged on, General Anderson knew that they had not yet fully won. The Imperium had proven time and time again that they would stop at nothing to conquer and destroy. But this time, Humanity had done something they never expected. Earth had fought back. Earth had refused to kneel. As the final Imperium ships turned and retreated, the skies above Earth began to clear. The battle was nearly over, but Anderson knew that Earth's true victory wasn't just in defeating the Imperium. The real victory was in the unity that had been forged in the heat of the fight. Humanity had come together, against all odds, to defend their home. "We did it," Anderson whispered to herself as she looked out over the battlefield. "We showed them what humanity is capable of." The war was won. Earth had proven its strength. A new dawn was rising, one that would be forever remembered in the annals of history. Humanity had stood up to the Imperium and emerged victorious, but they had also proven that they would never again be taken for granted. Earth would never kneel. The war was over. The Imperium had retreated, their fleet shattered and their empire left in ruins. Earth had stood firm, refused to kneel, and emerged victorious. The remnants of the once mighty invasion force scattered in the darkness of space, their dream of conquering Earth now nothing more than a failed ambition. But while Earth had won, the victory came with a heavy price. General Anderson stood on the balcony of Earth's command center, watching the stars twinkle in the distance. The world below her had been changed forever. The cities that had once been in chaos were now rebuilding, the people more united than ever before. But in her heart, Anderson knew that the fight wasn't just about military power. It had been about something far more profound, the will of humanity to survive and protect their home. "We did it," Captain Quinn said, her voice full of pride, as she joined Anderson on the balcony. "We really did it." Anderson nodded, but her gaze remained fixed on the horizon. "It's not over. The Imperium is gone for now, but there will be others. We have to be ready." The silence between them was deep, each woman lost in her own thoughts. Earth had won a great battle, but the galaxy was still a vast, unpredictable place. There would be new threats, new challenges, and humanity would have to face them all. But now, for the first time in centuries, they would face the future with their heads held high. Back on Earth, life was beginning to return to normal. The damage done during the war was still evident. Buildings that had been destroyed, fields that had been scorched by energy blasts. But the people were rebuilding. They were resilient. They had shown the Imperium what it meant to be human. And now, they would prove it to the rest of the galaxy. The leaders of Earth's nations gathered in the Great Assembly Hall, where plans for the future were already being drawn up. They had been unified during the war, and now they would remain united. They had faced an unimaginable threat, and together they had prevailed. Now it was time to turn their attention to the future. President Harper, the leader of the Earth Alliance, stood at the head of the table. "We've proven that Earth will not be conquered, but we must never forget what this war has taught us. We must remain vigilant. The Imperium was only the beginning." The room was silent. The weight of Harper's words was felt by everyone present. The fight against the Imperium had been just one chapter in humanity's journey, but the victory over them had opened a new chapter, one of hope, unity, and strength. "We have the technology now," Harper continued. "We've developed weapons and defenses that we never dreamed possible, but we also have something more powerful than any weapon, our unity. Earth is stronger now than it has ever been." The assembly room erupted into applause. It was true. Humanity had proven that when they came together, there was no enemy they could not face, and now they had the chance to shape their destiny. Outside, the stars twinkled in the night sky, a reminder of the vastness of space and the challenges that lay ahead. But Earth no longer looked out at the stars with fear. Now they looked at them with hope and determination. The Imperium had failed. They had tried to conquer Earth, but humanity had stood tall and fought back. The universe would know the strength of Earth from now on. Earth's space program, once focused solely on exploration, now had a new purpose: defense. The great shipyards that had been built to send humanity to the stars would now be used to ensure that no alien empire could ever threaten Earth again. The fleet was being expanded, and new technologies were being developed every day. The humans who had once looked to the stars with wonder now looked to them with resolve. General Anderson and Captain Quinn watched the fleet of Earth's ships launch into the sky. These ships were no longer just symbols of exploration. They were symbols of Earth's strength, a promise to the universe that humanity would never again be a target. No empire, no matter how powerful, could ever expect to conquer Earth again. "We've earned this moment," Quinn said, her eyes on the ships ascending into space. Anderson smiled, a rare expression on her face. "Yes, but the real work begins now. We have to build a future worthy of this victory." The war had shown humanity's strength, but now was the time to prove that they were more than just survivors. They were builders, explorers, and leaders. They had the will to fight, but now they had the will to thrive. And the future, no matter how uncertain, was theirs to shape. As the last of the Imperium's fleet disappeared into the vast reaches of space, Earth took its first steps into a new era. An era where humanity was no longer a preyed-upon species. An era where Earth was a force to be reckoned with, standing tall against any threat that came its way. And as General Anderson stood among the people she had fought for, she felt a sense of peace she had never known before. Humanity had faced the impossible and had emerged victorious. The stars were no longer a place of fear. They were a place of opportunity. And Earth, united and strong, was ready to face whatever challenges awaited. The universe would never forget the day Earth refused to kneel.